Good morning and welcome to the podcast of the game later here on the Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network. He's Jarrod Prugar in Altoona, Pennsylvania. I'm Alex Stumpf in Bradenton, Florida. Jarrod, how's it going, man?
Well, I would say it's not too bad. The sun's out, the sky's blue. Temperature's not too bad, pretty moderate, but it's not Florida and Bradenton where you've been for the past few days.
You know, I packed a hoodie thinking that'd be fine. It was 80-something. It was beautiful.
It's a rough life, man. I'm sitting here with a vest, but I got sleeves on. Nobody needs to see that. But so, Alex, you're in Bradenton for the Get Better at Pitching Camp. Is that right?
I think they changed the name a little bit here. That's what it was threatened to be called. I think they made it just like a pitching development camp. I like the Get Better Pitching Camp name, honestly. Just keep that moniker for everything.
So what's been going on down in Bradenton? If it's the Get Better at Pitching Camp, well, what exactly are they getting better at?
Oh, it's different for every pitcher. One pitcher could be, they have different buckets for how they want to divide these players. Like some people are in just a general, you got to get a little taste of everything. That's a lot of draft picks, guys who are rehabbing, stuff like that. But there are people who maybe they need to add a little fastball velocity and they focus on just that. They focus on maybe just how their body moves, their mechanics. Maybe they work on just pitch design and how that factors into it. No, there's some overlap between the groups, but they really want to focus on those specific areas. They found something for just about everyone besides, the draft picks who are new to the organization and they're still learning their bodies and how they respond to a full year pro ball. It's interesting for that because players have a lot of say in how things are run. And someone like Jared Jones, who I've written in the past, the dude is not like plyo balls. But they found something else for him that basically gives the same thing. And he likes that a lot better with, bands, stretch out there. That could be pregame work. And if he wants to work on something with his command, with his fastball, he could just focus in on that for a couple of days rather than, well, you also got to do your slider. You also got to do your changeup. It's very, what's the phrase that the Pirates keep throwing out there all the time whenever it comes to prospects? It's very player driven. That's my real takeaway here. And this is, if you excuse the pun, a stark departure from how they used to do mini camps in the past.
Oh, I see what you did there. A little jab. I like it. I like the pun there. But no, I think you're right because we talk about this all the time. Alex and I are different human beings, just like every pitcher is a different human being too. So to put them and shoehorn them into one methodology, one program, that's doing them all a disservice. And we see that when they get to the major leagues, and it's just not the same. We saw that especially under the old regime. This one, not so much because a lot of these guys are just finally coming up through. So having that player-driven, that player-centric culture and path of development, I think is going to be huge for guys like Quinn Priester and Jared Jones, who are two totally different pitchers and that have different ways to go about their business, while the result that they want is very, very similar and very common.
I'll one up you. Let's look at the top three pitchers that they picked up in this past draft. Anthony Solometo, a left-hander with really funky mechanics. Owen Kellington, for lack of a better phrase, is your traditional right-handed pitcher prospect, but he pitched in Vermont, and this is his first time ever for a full season, so you got to make adjustments there. And then Bubba Chandler, who's also hitting. So, those are going to be three extremely different. They are always adjusting with Bubba, trying to keep his body intact because that's the big thing. He wants to be a two-way player. The Pirates would obviously benefit having a two-way player in the system. So that's going to be an interesting development. I have sung the praises of pitching coordinator Josh Hopper before. I'm going to do it again. This guy is absolutely the right guy for the job. Not to belittle anyone else. It feels like almost him more than anyone else. He gets it. He gets how it should be run for the players. It should be the player's decision with the input because whenever the player has one hand on the wheel, you're going to lead them both. You're both going to lead yourself into the best possible situation. He recognizes that this is the player's career. They are the ones who are going to have the final decisions with a lot of this.
Right. And I think that's the big thing too. And that's something that we really didn't see under the old front office is that these players, not that they don't matter, they do matter, but their personalities matter. The way they go about things matters. Everybody, like we said, everybody is different. And if you are not seeing that, or you're not willing to be open to everybody having different methodologies, like plyo balls in the game of baseball are very hit or miss, literally, because some say it puts more strain on the elbows. Some say it puts more strain on the shoulder. Some say they're just not good for you, while others swear by them. It's just like resistance bands and any other types of training methods. Everybody has a different way to train, and everybody has a different way to work towards their goals, whether that be pitching at an elite level in the major leagues, making it to the major leagues, or just surviving the minor league season. But it's important to note that and to know what makes your players tick, what makes them who they are. Because if you're able to do that, then you can maximize their potential, maximize their skill set, and you set them up for success down the line.
To add one more thing that I kind of found interesting with like drills and different stuff down here. Actually, two thoughts. One, it's pretty funny to see the players, treat it like, it's a competition, it's a game. Like Tanaj Thomas says, I'm in the body movement group and we're making competitions out of it. It's like, how do you make a competition out of body movement drills? He's like, oh, well, we do this and, I'm aiming for that point and they get that. It's again, it's that having the players have one hand on the wheel with the drills, make it more engaging. If it's more engaging, you're going to get more out of it. The other drill I thought was interesting that they have is they have the pitch pocket, which if you don't know, it's almost like a fanny pack. This is going to be tough to describe just through audio. It's almost like a fanny pack, and there's a ball in there, and you pull it out and you go straight forward. And if you do that, it's a very direct motion. You get rid of, a lot of the access wind-up movement there. Go through that, and you reach in there, and maybe you get a baseball. Maybe you get a weighted ball. Maybe you get a softball. Maybe you get – it's different every time. And it's like, look, if you can throw all these pitches or all these different balls in that particular spot, you'll be able to throw a baseball in that spot whenever you need to also. It's interesting. And, that pitch pocket is something that I know Vic Black really was on the ground floor with. One of the things they use is called a clean fuego ball, which I wrote about at a mound visit last year about Michael Burrows, the prospect in the Pirate system, and how he was pretty much on the ground floor and got like a prototype of that tool, how it can monitor spin. There's some interesting ways to go through it. It's interesting to see them implementing small stuff like that into the organization.
Right. Those little things do add up. And it's all they're putting the right tools together to maximize potential, to maximize success at the minor league level. And I think that's really huge. But when we come back in the second segment, we're going to talk a little bit more about who Alex was able to talk to and really kind of get into the brains of while he was in Bradenton this week on the Pirates podcast to be named later on the DK Pittsburgh Sports podcast.
You got to get it right. Get it right.
Hey, listen, it's been a long week. My birthday was Sunday. Yours is Friday. We're just out here celebrating. But to be sure, this is the Pirates podcast to be named later on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network. We'll catch you after this week. Welcome back to the Pirates podcast to be named later. He's Alex Stumpf. I'm Jarrod Prugar. Alex, you're in Bradenton, and who are you able to speak to and really get to know a little bit better? Because a lot of these guys we haven't really been able to talk to because of COVID or just because of lack of availability during the regular season.
Yeah, Quinn Priester, I think, is the big one that really stood out to me. Like I had talked to him through Zoom, a little one-on-one beforehand, but this was the first time that we really got to sit down for 15, 20 minutes. And that was, I tried to put that in the story. I hope it really came through the way I wanted to. Like, this kid has a confidence to him. Like, he has not like a cocky type of confidence, but he's been here. If someone doesn't know where the chow line is at Pirate City, he'll let them know where it is. If they don't know, oh man, I need some pointers with my breaking ball, he'll be willing to talk to them about it. It's really the vibe. Maybe it's just because he sounds exactly like it. Like it's spot on, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of like Garrett Cole in that way. Not to say that, I covered Garrett Cole whenever he was coming up through the minors, but you kind of get that vibe. Having spent a little time, freelancing around there with Cole still with the team, like Cole kind of had that vibe to him also. And I think that's, personality-wise, we all know Quinn Priester's a really good pitcher, but he has that leadership quality that I think really kind of came through, getting to talk to him one-on-one here.
Well, and that's important too as an ace, because as the ace of a staff, you're typically revered to and looked at as the leader. Um, Good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. I mean, we expected that from Garrett Cole when he was on the mound for the Pirates. We expected that from Jamison Tyon and AJ Burnett when he was here and he was the ace. They were the leaders. They were the Bulldogs. That's the guy that you want on the mound when it matters the most. And it seems as though Priester's got the right makeup to make that happen down the line. Now, granted, he is still another year or two away from Pittsburgh, in my opinion, but it seems that he's got the right makeup to have that type of success whenever he gets there.
Yeah, I mean, Priester, I think it's a pretty safe to say that, I mean, barring injury, knock on wood, 2023 is a pretty reasonable expectation for him to come up to the major leagues. He still has a way to go. He's still learning. He recognizes that. It's like he got into trouble early on in the season. If you look at his early game logs, they weren't that good because he had made some mechanical changes and he was focusing too much on them and it didn't really translate as well. There were some parts like that you still have to grow as a pitcher. That's why he's 21 years old and gearing up for AA ball. He's not quite ready yet, but the path he's on is a really good path. And people are gravitating to him. There are always going to be people watching him. He recognizes that. He kind of welcomes it, not to say like, I'm going to show him up. It's I look, I'm good enough that I know people are going to be looking at me. Let them look.
No, and I think that's exactly what you want in a pitcher of his caliber. I mean, obviously the jury is still out, the verdict is still out as far as what he's going to develop into. But the biggest thing is he's still developing. So obviously we don't want to rush, the Pirates don't want to rush him through. We don't want to really see what it's like if he is rushed, because I think when you rush somebody, you don't let them develop it the right way. It ends up being catastrophic to their careers. We see that so many times throughout Major League Baseball, not just with the Pirates, but it's just one of those situations where, hey, let's let the kid be a kid. Let's let him develop. And again, this was a developmental camp. So these guys aren't going to be bursting down the doors in Bradenton and Pirate City in the spring or whenever spring training starts. These are the guys that are going to end up in Altoona, that are going to end up in Greensboro and Indianapolis and Bradenton this year, and that are expected to have success there. But having them there and being able to develop them and really get more eyes on them and get more data on them, I think is huge moving forward for the Pirates organization.
Yeah, I mean, look, not to make this the simplest baseball analysis as it could be, the Pirates are going to need to develop pitching because they could find an affordable 2-war outfielder to fill out a roster or a lineup. They could find bullpen work. They need starting pitching. That's what makes this so valuable. That's what makes someone like Quinn Priester so valuable. Ronzi Contreras, Jared Jones, who I think has top 100 upside. He was there. There are a lot of guys like that. This is the most important part of player development, in my opinion, because there are some good hitters around the system already. The pitching is definitely more of you got to develop it. And I think they're going down the right path. Like I said, I think Hopper is the right guy for the job. I think there is definitely a more collaborative process, and that's going to engage players more. It's the most important part of this rebuild, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, the pitching helps win games. I mean, you can't defend the walk. You can't defend the home run. You have to just pitch better. And the Pirates at times have not pitched very well, if at all. And I think that ultimately is one of the biggest things. I mean, it's very tough as an offense when your pitching staff is giving up 6, 8, 9, 10 runs a game. It's just one of those things. Now, with that, Alex, what you're seeing down there is these guys have shown a lot of personality. Is that correct? I mean, you finally get to see them in a relaxed environment. So what do you get to see when their personalities are shining through?
And that's the fun part of it. Like Anthony Salametto, Bubba Chandler, hearing them talk about, how they're roommates with Henry Davis together and how Henry Davis is, the authoritarian almost figure in that. Salametto said, "Oh man, it's like a sitcom," and yeah, you can kind of see it on it. Which tag yourself? Are you Bubba Chandler, the messy one, or?
Oh, I am pretty messy.
Yeah, I am too. We're both Bubba.
There's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's important. I mean, people are we think of these guys as robots, right? We think of them as professional athletes, and all they do is play this game. But the reality is, the game only takes up a certain amount of their day, a certain amount of their time. It's a finite amount of time. It's 9 innings, or your batting practice, your pregame work. So you're at the ballpark from 1 to whatever, and you have a lot of downtime. So that personality and getting to know each other and becoming a close-knit group, I think, is very important. And that's what we're seeing from these guys, especially in Bradenton, like we have been, because it seems like this is a really, really close group, from Priester all the way down to the other guys that have shown up this year in the draft. And that close-knit, that tightness is going to help them moving forward as they continue on their professional careers, eventually, hopefully landing in Pittsburgh in just a short time to come. But that's it for this segment. We're going to cut you on the flip side to talk about, well, who knows what we're going to talk about in the third segment, but you're going to want to tune in on the Pirates podcast to be named later on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network.
Welcome back to podcast to be named later here on the DK Pittsburgh Sports Podcasting Network. Jarrod, we're still in the lockout, so this last segment is going to be on a non-baseball subject. Phil from DK Pittsburgh Sports asked us, what is our favorite barbecue city? And I got to be honest with you, man. Like, I'll admit, I haven't been to Memphis. I haven't had, I guess, pure Texas barbecue. But my brother's girlfriend is from Texas, and she finds like places in Pittsburgh that she feels like are close to, Texas barbecue that she really loves. So I feel like I kind of get it by proxy. It's fine. It doesn't compare to Kansas City, though. That's one of my favorite cities to cover any sports or games at, anything at. I gain a pound every single time I go. I discovered the joy of burnt ends in Kansas City, and it's top tier.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as well versed in traveling as you have been. I am a big fan of Cajun food. I know that's not barbecue, but if I had to pick I haven't been to Memphis. I've not been to Kansas City yet. But a place that I like is closer to home. My barbecue capital is in Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania, and that's where my favorite barbecue joint is located, Graham's Up and Smoke Barbecue. They've got some of the best pulled pork, some of the best baked mac and cheese, you name it, they have it. Delicious food as always. So a very good plug for them. If you're in Phillipsburg, please feel free to check them out whenever you come to an Altoona Curve game. It's just a couple miles up the road, but yeah, I'm excited to I want to get to Memphis. I want to get to Kansas City, and obviously Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, including barbecue. And there are some places in DC that I wanted to check out too. But someday I'll get to that point, and maybe this summer, if the lockout is still going on, Alex and I will just take a tour to the country and just find out random barbecue joints to go to and eat, and we'll just become the Guy Fieri's of the barbecue world.
Fieri, for the record, it's Fieri.
Either
not
way.
Fieri. Yeah, but I don't know. Kansas City barbecue almost ruined barbecue for me, because having just regular ones now in Pittsburgh, it's like, oh, this ain't the same. I've been to the mountaintop, and this just isn't the same.
Well, and once you get to the mountaintop, it's important that you stay there, Alex. But
yeah. I had to come back home. Even though Kansas City's up there on my near tippy top of favorite cities that I've ever gone to for work or just traveled to in general. Great city, underrated city.
Great city. The Negro League Hall of Fame is there, and that's
Jazz Hall of Fame right next door. I mean, that's a fun afternoon. That's a fun afternoon right there.
That's right. Kansas City Chiefs. Got all kinds of stuff to do in Kansas City, not just food, but. Let's wrap this up. One final thought for Alex as we embark into this next year and embark further into the doldrums of the lockout.
I want Kansas City barbecue again. You know what? If this lockout continues and I miss regular season, I'm going to take some vacation days in April, and I'm going to go out to Kansas City. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that'll be my mental health, savior if it does.
There you have it. Alex's mental health strives solely on Kansas City barbecue. So if you are friends of Alex for his birthday, please send him Kansas City barbecue. He desperately needs it now that he will be back in the cold atmosphere of the Pennsylvania and Pittsburgh weather. Obviously, not nearly as good as 80 degrees in Bradenton, but you know what? It should be starting to snow soon, and I think that's something we can all be excited for, right, Alex?
No, I'm not looking for. I woke up this morning hot. It's like, oh, I have to put on the air conditioning. I'm not doing that again until like May, or whenever I come down for spring training.
Very good. There you have it. Alex is hot. He's hungry. And that about wraps it up for this week's edition of the Pirates podcast to be named later.
This is the worst episode ever.
Oh, no. There have been many, many worse. And the lockout's just getting started. For Alex Stumpf, I'm Jarrod Prugar. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Pirates podcast to be named later. We will catch you on the flip side and talk to you again next week.